Hey everybody, it's Frank. Got Sai Redding with Cammereye.ai. And again, I always remind people, Cammereye, it's Camereye. There's no A on the end of the camera, but .ai. But Sai, I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks again, and thanks for having me.
This is Pool Safety Month for us. It's Drowning Prevention Month, and we've been talking about a lot of the products. And I came across you guys at, I believe I first saw you at the Atlantic City show, and got talking to y'all about what your camera can do. And I'm excited because it's like everything else in the pool industry. There's technology that's been out there and being used in a lot of different industries, but it takes it forever to make it to the pool industry. Well, this y'all's product, and I'm going to let you discuss it because it's way over my head as far as the technology goes, but I like it. I got my unit.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. So really, I guess what we're building here at Cammereye is not necessarily just a single product. We're building a platform around it. It's a promise to make pools safer, smarter, and more sustainable. I'll walk you through different themes in a bit, but since it's a Pool Safety Month, I want to talk about what's behind this. You know, why I personally started this company. When I first started this, the single promise, the most boldest you would think, it was to make pools safer. How can you build an active layer of safety? We always talk about layers of safety. We never say, you don't put your fence up, you don't put your safety cover. I think as a responsible pool owner, especially with kids or grandkids or anybody for that matter, should have multiple layers of safety. For me, as a swimmer, as a college swimmer, I swam breaststroke in college. Spent countless hours, in and around water. Heard many
Right.
stories about, great things about what people do. For me personally, it helped me overcome my breathing and asthma as a kid. So for me, it's a personal connection. Heard great things about water, but also it comes some very sad, unfortunate things. Right after I exited my first company, we got acquired. Was in the energy space, and we built AI software for energy. I said, well, I've been swimming, spent half my life in the water. I can't keep hearing about deaths and unfortunate deaths, especially kids. It's drowning is the number one cause of deaths for kids under 4 in our country. So the mission was to have some active layer of supervision, looking into the water, and do something that cameras out there, like you heard about Ring cameras, you heard about Nest, Google ADT, I mean all sorts of cameras out there, cannot do today for this particular problem is pool safety. So what Cammereye really started out is as an AI company. This is funny because nobody talked about AI. There was no Chat GPT. They were probably building the first ever models of Chat GPT. They said, we're going to bring AI into the space, into this industry, let AI work along with the vision being the camera sensing, to look around the pool and in the water, so the perimeter around the pool and the water at all times. This is not like emotion detection when this camera sleeps but wakes up after motion is detected. No, this camera is on all the time, monitors all the time what's happening in and around the water, and alerts the user in different ways. There's the sound alarm on the camera, there's the notification on the app, there's a phone call service that we have for as an additional service and whatnot. So that's how the product started, and that's how the mission towards making pools safe started.
And I mean, of course, y'all aren't saying no, there doesn't need to be parental supervision. That you're not saying that, you don't want, kids, they still need to learn how to swim. We still need barriers and all that. The Cammereye, its benefit is, I mean, because, typically children don't drown when people are sitting there watching them. I mean, it can happen, but this is when the kid gets into the pool area, or the dog, or, disabled adult gets in the pool area. Your system, it identifies that. It doesn't just only, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't just only identify there's something in the pool area. It can actually tell you what is in the pool area. And I think that's amazing that it can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I sit on one of the executive board of NDPA, National Drowning Prevention Alliance, and what we've always talked about at NDPA is ABCs of water safety. A being the adult supervision, B being the barriers. The barriers could be both active and passive barriers, and C being lessons or classes, such as CPR lessons, swim lessons, whatever classes and lessons you could take. So that's always been our messaging. It's not one thing; it's everything. ABCs, even within barriers, there's layers of safety, like I said,
Yes.
right? So what we have done when we built our product is we said, okay, within the barriers, within layers, within the active layers of supervision, the product has to do multiple things. It doesn't matter, really, maybe it does, but really it's too late for a product to detect when someone's already drowned. There are systems out there that's underwater cameras and systems that detect minutes after the person drowned. Something's better than nothing, but it's not really solving the problem. So what we said is, let us have different layers of AI work. The first layer being what we call as a smart fence layer. The smart fence being you mark an area around your pool. It could be a deck area or it could be water. If a person or a pet enters that area, the system, the AI recognizes the shape and tells you that it's a person. Or within a person, it could be a toddler, it could be an adult, it could be a pool service person, servicing your pool. Depending on the way, the shape, the size, and certain characteristics, the AI recognizes that this is a particular class of person in the AI object detection model. Once that is done, the next phase is what we call as the distress detection. This is a much advanced detection, which happens only in the water region, which is AI automatically identifies the water area. If someone is in the water area and is showing signs of distress or drowning, the system detects that, and it's trained over thousands of systems and 3 years of data to be able to very accurately detect if it's drowning, or if the person is just frailing or swimming.
So y'all fed this information, or you basically just give that information to the system, and it can actually tell whether somebody is swimming, breaststroke, freestyle, whatever, butterfly. It can determine that someone is actually trying, they're struggling to keep their head above water. It can, it will alert then and not alert when they're swimming.
Yeah. So right now we don't detect the types of swimming. I really wish we did, because I, as a swimmer,
That would be cool. Oh, that's a butterfly.
that's right. What it does though, it tells you as a user on the app how many hours you spend in the water. Let's say you jump in the water and you spend 20 minutes. It'll exactly tell you there are 20 minutes of a swim session that has been recorded on your app, that being detected by your camera. If it's multiple people, let's say you have a pool party with like 6 people in your pool, it'll tell you there are 6 people and all of them are swimming for 40 minutes. And the reason we do that is, again, branching a little into making pools smarter, pool maintenance.
Yeah.
It's really, really important to keep track of the beta load, to be able to properly maintain your pool. So that's what the system does. But yes, to your point, if someone's in the water and someone's, their head is outside the water, the surface of the water, and they have, they're not necessarily, let's say they're lap swimming, they're moving from one end to the other, they have some horizontal speed or movement, the system says, you can't really drown when you're lap swimming from one end to the other end. Versus if your head is under the water or partially under the water and you're not moving, and there's certain signs that the system looks at, then yes, there's some potential signs of distress or drowning.
So like maybe somebody with epilepsy or something like that, that has a risk of possibly, having a seizure while in the water. It would recognize, okay, this person was moving normally, but now they're not. Now their head's gone underwater, and it will. You said you actually have, like, it will call the phone, because the thing I dislike most about alarms is they get ignored because of the just frequency of false alarms. Yours will hold off the alarm until, okay, now it's an issue. It was they were just swimming or they were playing, but now their head's been underwater for a certain amount of time, and oh my gosh, it'll call, it alert, what alarm you have? Also inside alarms that will go off in the house.
Yeah. So we employ this particular method called Markov identification method, which means at any given state, the person can show any behavior. It doesn't necessarily depend on what they were doing 5 minutes ago. What it means is, like, let's say you're a perfect swimmer and you've been swimming nonstop 40 laps and you could have a seizure. The system should not necessarily say that the person was swimming really great, and I'm not going to treat this as drowning, because anything can happen at any time, especially if you're holding your breath underwater for too many seconds. So yes, the system does detect independently of what the person has been doing. So the person could have a seizure 40 minutes after they were normally swimming, and the system will pick it up depending on that pattern, that behavior that they show at that point in time. Now, once it does that, it alerts. So there's a 95 decibel alarm on the camera that goes off. It's really loud, so the entire backyard and the home will know.
95 is pretty loud. Yeah, that's pretty loud.
95 decibels, and then there's an alarm inside the house that's also UL ASTM listed. So those are the methods, and then there's the app notification that goes off, which means the app starts ringing. The third method is what we call as call a friend. We are now partnering with the security company, where if a distress behavior is detected, it directly calls 911 to your local 911 location, not necessarily just calling 911, but with an image of that person, if you permit, to the nearest 911. And then the 911 operator will look at it and they know exactly that it's a drowning related incident, and they have an image.
They know the address, they know everything.
They know everything. So there are companies out there that are doing this for other, like, emergency push buttons and stuff. We are coming up with an amazing partnership with a company, with a security company, that gives us E911 access. So that's an additional layer, and that's a paid service, obviously, because we incur costs for that.
Right. It costs money to do that.
Yeah.
How many people, like, say there's 5 kids in the pool, and how can it break down the different actions of the different people in the pool?
Yeah. So again, one of our patented methods is understanding people and detecting people differently, and being able to analyze their behavior differently. So let's say there's 5 people in the water, there's 4 people that are just playing, and one person in distress, that person does get detected as a person in distress, and the alarm goes off. So yes, it independently detects people and counts them for different reasons. Like I said, beta load counting is one of it.
So it'll tell you, okay, you had from this point to this point, you had 9 people. And is there a limit on how many people that it can count?
There's no limit in terms of people being detected. There could be limitations of the vision, especially when there are people blocking each other. So you could have, let's say there's 100 people in the water.
Right.
Very likely that there's a person right behind another person, like a kid behind another adult, that's blocking from the view of the camera. So there could be limitations when there's too many people, but there's really no limit on how many people the system detects independently.
And for commercial purposes, for these large, like hotel pools, I really see a huge market in hotel pools and in commercial pools. If you had a few different cameras, can they share data and share AI to come up with a single, like, reporting point or course of action?
Yeah, it's funny you asked this, because when I first started Cammereye, we started with a focus on commercial pools. We had a few YMCAs here in San Diego. We had a few university pools that we were trying to pilot the system. So absolutely yes. I think there are like 4 pools in the first phase of the project. We deployed about 4 or 5 cameras per project in 4 different pools, and we're able to actually put all that data together. So instead of just cameras independently doing their own thing, because you could have scenarios where a person goes from camera A view into camera B view and comes back into camera A. You want to combine all that data in one big portion. So yes, we were able to do that in commercial settings. But however, today Cammereye is mostly focused on residential pools. We do have some organic customers like HOAs, and there's some other customers we have. Right now we're mostly focused on residential pool customers.
Yeah, so even on a commercial pool, that, or like say an HOA that closes at 9 o'clock, they could actually get an alert that, hey, there's somebody in the pool area. It's midnight, and somebody's jumped the fence. Somebody's in the pool area, and that would alert them, other than just a Ring. Because Ring, I mean, I love my Ring system because it does let me know somebody's at the front door, somebody's in the backyard, but it doesn't always pick them up.
Right.
And like we had a dog, Cutie. She was my favorite hound dog ever. She didn't drown. She fell in the pool, but she was dead when she hit the water. She had no water in her lungs, so she did not drown. And then my wife went looking for her because she hadn't seen her in a while, went out there, and we had no video whatsoever of the dog being in the pool area because she moved slow. She was 18 years old. She moved slow, so the Ring never detected that she was even in the area. So we had no video of what actually happened.
So that's one of the biggest limitations of motion cameras like Ring. So there's two aspects to it. One is they all use what's called PIR, passive infrared sensing, which looks at the changes in motion, right? Like you said, if they're moving really, really slow, or the motion happens very far from the camera, the PIR doesn't work anymore. So there could be the case that your pet was moving really slow, or the dog was really far away from the camera. They're the two issues. The way we overcome them is by not at all looking at the motion. We're looking at the frame, the actual frame of the camera every second, like actually 10 frames every second, and we're looking at the changes in the frame, and we're also looking at the patterns that the AI detects in the frame. That way, the system is not sensitive at all to slow changes and stuff like that. In your case, it would have detected your pet easily.
Yeah, because it never shut off. It didn't need anything to activate it. It's already activated, and then it's reading differences from seconds or tenth of second to tenth of second.
That's correct. Again, like I said, right, like in motion cameras like Ring, there are two separate circuits. There's the vision circuit, the camera circuit, which obviously consumes power, so it's almost always shut off. There's the second circuit, which is a very low power circuit. It's a PIR sensing circuit. It's an independent circuit. It's an independent system. And if motion is detected, that enables the camera circuit to turn on. And they do it to optimize your battery power of your Ring camera. But unfortunately, it's not at all useful for pool safety applications.
Right. Now, y'all's system, it does have to have a power supply. It doesn't, I believe you said there's battery backup available, but you really don't want that, do you? You don't want the battery to ever be the reason it failed, because the battery, nobody ever recharged it or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So so obviously it's the most reliable method, having a constant power supply for different reasons, because people forget charging their batteries. The batteries could be down, or there could be little outages, in batteries and stuff like that. The battery backup is important. So yes, we do have battery backup options that we give to our users. But one of the other important reasons is our system is the only system out there that meets listings and requirements. We are approved to meet ASTM F2208 standards for pool alarms, Type A, Type B, and Type C. Type A and Type B are in-pool alarms, which is anything that senses you have water inside the water surface or subsurface, and Type C, which is perimeter, which is outside the water. It's really, really hard to build a system that meets all Type A, B, and C, but we are actually listed to meet all Type A, B, and C. States like Florida require Type A or Type B alarms. States like California require Type C alarms. So we're listed and approved in different states like California, Florida, Arizona, Texas. Second, we're also listed as UL 2017 system. This is more for door and window entry, because the camera system, it's not just a camera. I don't know if you can see in my box here, the camera system does come with some other integrations, such as door and window sensors that we offer inside the box. And these door and window sensors are UL 2017 listed, and they work along with the camera. So if someone opens the door and window sensors throw an alarm, because now you got to have the door and window sensing. And now these connect to the camera, which means the camera is ready to actually look for some entrance from inside the home. So they all work together, which is very different from what your older door and window alarms did. They just threw alarms and people open the door.
Yeah, in water alarms, like I said, they've always been very frustrating to me. We've sold quite a few. We used to sell quite a few. I won't even sell them anymore because people, 3 months, they're bringing them back. I want my money back.
That's
This
right.
thing, false alarms every time the wind blows, duck gets in the pool. It's alarming. Of course, I would want that alarm. And I guess your system will actually tell you, can it tell me, hey, you got a duck in your pool? Bring out the shotgun.
So what's funny is so the system does person and pet, but the AI is also trained to detect animals. The problem being the animals, there's so many types and there's so many.
Right.
So what we have done is instead of calling it your animal, what we've separated them into pets and the other being wild animal. I think we call it wild
Okay.
animal or something like that. So we had a case from I believe Iowa, where it was snowing, and there's this fenced pool, and the pool had a nice fence around it, and there were some bears. There were like 6 bears jumping the fence and entering the pool. They have this beautiful video where the camera detects this as a wildlife animal, and they got a detection saying, "Hey, there's some animal in your backyard." And they look at the video. There's like 6 bears. There's a mama bear, and there's like 5 baby bears jumping the fence and trying to get to drink some water.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had bears in Texas. Well, maybe I don't wish we had bears in Texas. Ducks are enough for me. Now, going back to like what it detects and all that. Now, well, we already said that it can discriminate between different people in the pool. It can say, okay, there's 5 people in the pool, and you said it will say, okay, 4 of them are doing just fine, but one of them is potentially struggling. Is that correct? Like it can
Yes.
judge 1 out of the 5 or 1 out of the 20?
Yes, that is right. So it independently detects people and can have a unique, behavior recognition of every individual separately. Again, now I think I was talking about why it's so important to do individual detections, not only from a safety standpoint, obviously, which is a use case here, but also from a maintenance standpoint. So this whole promise that I started with, today, or talked about making pools safer and smarter. And we'll talk about why it's sustainable in a second, but smarter, because there's so many pools out there that can turn green overnight. You could have a pool
Yes.
service company that can come service your pool once a week, but if you don't necessarily know what's happening, like the temperature going up or your chlorine levels or CYA levels, being a little off, and let's say especially if your beta load is pretty high, there's a very high chance that if you don't maintain your pool properly, if you don't balance your chemicals, and you don't do your filtration enough, your pool can turn green. So what the system does today is it counts people in the pool. It has very accurate count of the beta load. It has very accurate detection of the coloration of the water. So it is able to see how the color of the water is changing. And keep in mind, there's no value in just knowing the color because there could be the bottom surface of the pool could be different. Sometimes from the angle the camera is installed, the pool could always look green, a little green. So I think there's value in telling that the pool color has been changing and how it's changing. Is it cloudy? Is it green? So what the system does today is it tracks the color of the water, and if it's being cloudy or green. So beta load, color tracking. The third thing is what we call a skim detection, or the leaf count is what people have been stating it as. So the system is able to identify areas where there's more leaves or areas where there's more debris or skim. Right now, we don't really do much with that data. We only reflect it in the dashboard so that the user can know when to skim their pool, when to turn their robots. But where we're building towards is full integration with the pad. Today we have full pad integration with Jandy Aqualink products, all Aqualink products,
Okay.
our controller, and Pentair IntelliCenter. We're doing some final finishes on the Hayward Omni, which means this camera is able to both read the data, such as your pool temperature, your water temperature, your spa mode, your filtration data, how long is your filter running for, the RPM of the pump, and stuff like that, the heating temperatures, the set point. And you're also able to actually write data. So you can actually turn on the pump. You can turn off the pump. We're doing some integrations with robots. Most of these smart robots can do offer navigation, which means you can go straight, you can go forward, you can go back, you can go left or right. Now that we have this vision data, which is the skim data, the leaf count, it makes sense to actually start building a simple algorithm where you're driving robots to spend more time in the areas where there's more leaves and skim. So the really applications that we're looking at and working right now, been working on them for the last 8 months or so in stealth, but finally we're done with all the integrations. So we're doing some big product releases here. Are integrations with the pool equipment, like the pad, the controller equipment, and some IoT products like robots. The vision being you have complete eyes, which is the camera, and the brain, which is the AI, to start running your equipment.
That's great. So, like, say a big wind come through, and you had a crepe myrtle, and all of a sudden you have a layer of crepe myrtle buds all over the pool. You're saying there's possible integration where you can say, hey, need to turn the pump on, need to turn it on high, skimmer action to help start clearing some of that debris from the surface of the pool.
Absolutely. So yeah, so you turn on your filtration. Again, you right now the system may not set the RPM automatically, so you can only do on
Right.
off. Right. Eventually, maybe it'll also try setting the RPM. It'll turn on your filtration first. The second is it'll turn the skimmer on. It'll start, looking at the skim. Again, there's some sensing in the skim basket to see if the skim basket is full or not. So it will be able to do that. And now it's you have your fully autonomous pool, like your autonomous driving, right? Or your autonomous cars that people drive.
That's crazy. And you're also saying it can read different colors of the prism, and it can say, okay, we've gone from clear to cloudy, or we've gone from clear to green, or greenish, just starting to have a little. And is this something that you're saying that possibly it can be integrated with the service company where they can get a message that says, hey, the water's hazy, a lot of debris, or possibly we got algae or a green tint to the water?
So
And
we've been in talks with a lot of pool service companies. I mean, I think we all agree that the biggest KPIs, the largest ones for the pool service companies, are A, making the consumer, the customer, always happy, keeping them always happy. B,
yes,
avoiding phone calls. You don't want them to call
yes.
you and tell you that their pool is turning green. You want to
No, we
always.
want to call them. Yes.
That's right. And C is streamline your operations. And your operations could be, maybe again, if the job requires you to be on site twice a week, you should be there twice a week. But if the job requires you to be there once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks, but still maintain the pool really well that the customer is happy, you want to do that, right? So streamline your operations in terms of how many visits you do, and how much chemicals you add and stuff like that. So what we have realized is there's less value in telling your consumer, the customer, that the pool has turned green. Well, okay, now it's turned green. What do? Should I shock my pool? I mean, it's still going to add chemicals.
Right.
The value really is because of the AI. If you only had sensing, if you only someone looked at the photos, once a week, yes, you can easily say your pool turned green. There's sure it's
Right.
exciting, but it's really no value.
Yeah.
The
I was going
value
to find that out when I got there anyway.
That's right. The real value, especially using the AI system and vision, is telling that the pool can turn green, right? Because there's slight changes that'll happen. The pool, very rare cases, again, like I said, if the filtration is off, if your temperature is very, very high. In Phoenix, we've had several people like, the filtration is not there. And overnight, the temperature is like 100 degrees,
Yeah.
right? Overnight, the pool's green. Except in those rare cases, there's patterns that you can see before the pool turns green and algae starts forming, right? So identifying that and even remotely being able to tell people, especially the service company, saying, hey, you could do something. So I think a lot of our efforts right now are on preventative maintenance and automation, which is we're not an automation company. We don't plan on producing any equipment and competing with people who are already doing automation. What we call ourselves is AI topper on automation. So
Yeah. You just want to integrate with
that is,
automation. You don't necessarily want to have automation.
yeah. So our goal is integrating with everybody, right? There's Pantera,
Right.
there's the Hayward, there's all the big guys.
There's
Uh, there's,
poolside tech. I'm sure you're
there's the
talking to them.
there's the attendant, right? I mean, the attendant does some
Yeah.
cool stuff. So the goal is how do we integrate with them? We've already, like I said, we integrated with 2 or 3 of the big guys already. how to integrate with everybody so that when a user adds a camera, now the camera on the app, the camera app, they can add any equipment they have. Even if you have a Matronics, Dolphin, CC, Nautilus robot, you can add it. And now you're fully automated, right? You're able to do all this in one place.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, it's amazing. Really, it really is. I mean, like I said, the pool industry, typically when we get technology, it's 20, 30 years old. And every other industry has it before it ever pokes its head into the pool industry. But we're kind of on the cutting edge here because, I mean, other than maybe really high end alarm and surveillance systems that are like 007 type stuff, we're really on the cutting edge on this. And I really appreciate you bringing it to the industry. It's good to see new technology, in the pool industry and have a real purpose that, it's not just, okay, we can do fancier stuff with your equipment, but, we can actually save some lives. Because like I said, I mean, we can have all the layers of protection that we could ever possibly want, but there's always a way for those to fail. Kids can always figure out a way past barriers. Kids can, get through locked doors. Kids are incredibly intelligent and they're persistent. They have nothing else to think about but how do I get through this door? So they'll sit there for 4 or 5 hours. And now we have something that can say, hey, not only is there something in the pool area, but it's a child. And now, hey, that child's in the water. Or you go in to make a sandwich, or phone rings, you have to run, or the doorbell rings, you run. Now, of course, you should never leave your child unsupervised, but say you did, and now your phone will ring saying, hey, Junior was swimming fine, but now he's struggling. So you could quickly get back there. And a lot of people think, well, once he's drowned, he's drowned. No, you have minutes. You have minutes once somebody has drowned. And even if it takes you 3, 4, 5 minutes to get back there, you can still save that child, save that adult, save that dog, and prevent permanent brain damage.
Yep, absolutely. See, I think like I said, right, preventative maintenance, not necessarily letting the pool turn green. Same thing, preventative safety, like making sure there's no incidents by letting people know what's happening even before the incident happened. I think those are true value providers of this product. Now, Frank, one other thing. Again, I started with saying pools are safer, smarter, and I also said more sustainable. I'd like to maybe spend a couple minutes explaining how we're making pools more sustainable. This may not be true for all people in the country because utility rates and energy rates are not necessarily expensive everywhere. However, there's millions of pools in California, there's millions of pools in Arizona, and in the Northeast, where electricity and gas prices are going up significantly. So what have we done with the energy? Now, I told you that we are fully integrated with the automation pad, with the equipment pad. So if you're running a Jandy pump, if you're running a Pinter IF3 pump, if you're running a Hayward Omni pump, regardless if it's a single speed pump, variable speed pump, we've seen a big transition in energy efficiency going from single speed to variable speed pumps. Now, how can you make it even more energy efficient? You see in California, I was reading this report that almost 10% of the peak load, the grid load, comes from pumps only, pump operations in residential pools. It's 9.3 actually. So what California has done is passed SB 49. It's a state bill 49 that requires pool controls, demand response compliant pool controls on every pump or every equipment sold in California after 2025, which means that all these pumps that these big players, automation players, are selling need to be demand response compliant. What is demand response compliant? Very similar to what you've seen in thermostats. The utility, if the consumer wants, again, at the end of the day, it's the discretion of the consumer. The consumer wants, they're willing to give access or control of their pump to the utility. And if the utility feels like they're running out of power, instead of going full-blown blackout in California or in a city like San Diego, what the utility would do is they'll first reduce the load by turning off equipment because they can manufacture more power. They can produce more power. So there are programs. Cammereye is the first in the industry to work with utilities, all major utilities, PG&E, SDG&E, to be able to bring pull controls, demand response pull controls through the camera system. You're laughing, right? It's hard to imagine how can the camera play. It's not really the camera; it's the computer in the backyard. The pump is just a pump, right? The pump connects to the computer, which is our AI camera. The AI camera connects to the utility. So we have built integrations with major utilities in California, and these utilities in California are piloting demand response through the camera. So we're doing that, and we're the first to do that. We're 1 year, at least a year ahead of all people who are even looking at this. So that's how we're making pools more sustainable.
That's incredible. It really, this is so far over my head. I mean, I can't wait to be installing it, and I'm sure you guys are going to teach me a lot more about it when I get mine installed. And I'm sure I'm going to have 100 questions, about, okay, what if this happens? What if that happens? But one thing is kind of coming to mind right now. Can you also border off other areas in view of the camera? Can you, like, say, can you border the hot tub versus the pool, or maybe a flower bed, or, a fountain that's also in the backyard?
Yep, great question. So a lot of our users, they have a pool in the hot tub, and the camera is pretty wide angle, right? The field of view is pretty wide. I think it's almost like 155, 160. It's not 180, but it's almost 150, 160 degrees, right? So yes, it does cover a pool and a hot tub if you have a hot tub in your backyard. Now, when you're marking your areas, creating a smart fence, you mark your pool area and you mark your hot tub area. So if someone enters the hot tub, it's the same alarm. We have had inspectors in Florida inspect when they're doing inspections, right? When they're doing actual testing of new products like us, because we're ASTM approved. They walk into the pool area, they want the alarm to go off. They walk into the hot tub area, they want the alarms to go off. And they've done it. We've had many inspectors in Southwest Florida, in Tampa. Like they did all these tests, and they're like, this is great. This is an amazing system. It's hardwired. It's always working. And we've had several inspectors in Florida and California actually go to other builders and say, don't put those floating alarms, don't put those, very old door alarms.
Right.
Put this new system, because it does work. We've seen it work.
That's incredible. So, I mean, it's limitless where this can end up. I mean, this could be around lakes. It could be around ponds. A lot of these subdivisions now, they have these pond areas that, that are in the middle of the subdivision where the ducks and everything live, and people go walk their dogs. But they could even monitor that. Possibly even the city could monitor that and get alarms of something that's struggling in the water. And,
Yep, absolutely.
And wow, I'm impressed. I can't wait to see. I'm really getting motivated. I got so much other stuff I need to get done, but now I really want to get my camera up and my Cammereye up and get that up and running, because I'm going to play with it. I'm going to say, okay, what if I'm floating upside down? What if I'm just going to swim normal and just stop swimming face down and see what happens? Throw a dog in, see what happens.
So Frank, when you're connecting your Cammereye, please make sure you also connect your equipment, right? Your automation equipment. You'll see, that's how you unlock all these different features. Then you can start seeing all the temperature data. I mean, everything that you could see on the automation controller come into your Cammereye app as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And I have a Jandy system, RS16, and now I bypassed that system and I put in the Poolside Tech to play with it and learn all about it. You said y'all are talking to Poolside Tech. You're getting automated with them or integrated?
Yeah, we've had some discussions with Poolside Tech. It's not released yet, or integrations. We're definitely working on them. Right now, the integrations are all Aqualink, Jandy products, Pentair products, and Hayward. Those are the 3 ones we have right now live.
Okay. Well, Poolside Tech's probably going to be easy to integrate with. They quickly integrate with everybody's everything, so I'm sure that's probably going to be one of the easiest ones, I bet. But
absolutely, yep.
Sai, I appreciate your time. Anything else you want to talk about? Oh, well, we got right now we got a coupon code. If somebody goes to Cammereye.ai, look at the spelling. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and it'll be in the description. It's CAMEREYE.ai. So if you go to Cammereye, if you want to purchase the system online or find a local distributor, I'm sure y'all have pros listed, local installers listed on the site.
You can actually chat with our reps on the website, and we'll tell you where to get the system. We can also get it online, but yes, if you have the local pro, we'll tell you who to go to.
And if you use the coupon code, it's DeepEnd24. They actually get a 10% discount on their purchase. And hopefully we'll just keep that running, because I keep talking about it. I'm very interested in it. I'm excited about it. I think this is really it's, we were very limited. You had the better of this, the better of that, but this is really something new, above and beyond. It doesn't replace everything, but it really enhances it and gets rid of, just totally makes some of these other alarms and stuff just completely obsolete now. Because why not have this? If you have kids, why not? And it's not expensive. This isn't a $10,000 system you're asking somebody to purchase. This is actually very reasonable, along the lines of like even the Ring cameras. It's very comparable. This isn't something that's going to cost an arm and a leg. It's not like you're adding another pool to your pool. This is a very affordable monitoring system that actually will properly alarm, and hopefully, I can't wait to see, the stats down the road, how many lives this thing saved. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.